Okay, so another news video. Don't have much time to do this because I need to get ready to stream here at 9. But so this week, not a lot of real actual news, so it's going to be another news video of me just talking about what we plan to do in the future. So I've started working on this document. I'm going to have it flushed out over what's left of this year. Yeah, as you can tell, it's year 2016. I'm going to make a new document probably here soon for 2017, and that will be the actual one. This is like more of a let's kind of figure out what we're doing mode. A few things in here are hopefully going to be done this year. I don't know exactly what we're going to get to and what we're not going to get to because life gets in the way. For example, I was planning on getting ICBM another release here for you guys last week, and then I forgot I had an exam, and then I forgot I had a lot of homework, and then it kind of went downhill from there. This week's not looking much better. I got 6 papers to write that I was supposed to write last week but didn't find time to write, so I gotta work on them this week so I don't pull what I did last semester and basically failed a class. Ended up with like 15 papers at the last minute and could only write 9 of them in time. That's what procrastination does to you. Never procrastinate, do your stuff. Um, but for this year's stuff that needs to get done, the plan is to get volts up before the end of the year. We've been lagging behind on this, trying to really get this going. Every time we start up working on it again, something happens, ignoring the political stuff we're having with Technip, because to be honest, that wasn't really ever getting in the way. The main reason we never actually got around to releasing volts has entirely to do with the fact that the content necessary is just missing. That's where this comes in, ICBM and Armory. So for volts, really quickly, I can go over some of the stuff. The goal is we're gonna try to make sure it continues to run in under 2 gigabytes of RAM and can be run on a Pentium processor, no graphics card, still do 30 frames per second. That was one of the biggest things that the reason why I believe that the pack was adopted is that it was a 15-16 mod pack, which means almost anybody could install it and run it without their computer crying. It's like, for example, some of the newer mod packs that have come out from 110, I can't run. And the computer that I'm currently streaming this on is not like your off-the-shelf baby computer that you buy for office work. This computer actually is pretty good. It's got equivalent to an i7 processor, and it's got 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's got 2 graphics cards with 2 gigabytes each in it, and I load up a 110 pack and my computer runs out of memory. It is ridiculous. So that probably means Volts is going to be a 1710 pack. I'm not updating any of the mods to 1.8, 1.9, and 1.10 until they fix the issues with them. When they get around to that and I get a huge span of time, that will happen. Not going to happen right now. So Volts is going to be a 1.710 pack. Probably should note that. 1.7.10. I will forget this later. Not really. But the stuff we're missing is that ICBM still has got a lot of development work on it. I don't want to release the mod pack and then have a lot of the features that people were accustomed to just gone. Of course, Mechanism's not going to be in there. It's going to break a lot of your guys' heart, but I don't see that mod as the core tech mod for that pack. I like the mod. I've been playing with it actually recently again. Aiden's done some impressive work on it and has improved it really, really well. But it's getting out of hand towards the side of the tech mods start to get to that I don't want to see it in a lightweight pack. It's the same reason we won't use IC2, we won't use GregTech, we won't use thermal expansion. Thermal expansion actually was closer to the side we were about to use it, because what we're looking for a tech mod for Volts is something really simplistic. I can pick it up, I can build it, I can deploy it in under a day, because people are going to get their bases blown up and going to have to rebuild repeatedly. So you want to be able to rebuild a base within a day, not GregTech style of it takes a week, or Mechanism now takes almost 2 days to get to the max ore processing. Actually, the biggest ore processing side took my buddy Grogger almost 2-3 weeks to build up, which more or less wasn't because he wasn't putting a lot of effort into it. Was more the ideal that we were only playing a couple hours a day, but that's a whole other story. We're also missing a lot of weapons. So the original Volts didn't really have much to go on for weapons. You were still using vanilla weapons, and I felt like for a technology pack that wasn't quite there. So I'm going to try to push Armory out the door. I was considering not doing this after I announced I was going to be quitting modding over the period of this next year. But I'm going to develop this because I want to work on some of the concepts behind it. Armory is going to be somewhat like Flans, and that the mods, the content themselves are not actually coded into the game. They are script driven. So Armory is going to be really, really script driven. However, a lot of the content that goes in the Armory is going to be well balanced. That's the problem Flans has. Flans, none of its guns are balanced. They're given damage values, they're given ammunition values, and some of the weapons will one-shot people, some will not one-shot people. You'll have weapons that should, because they're anti-tank weapons, won't kill somebody in one shot, but then you'll have something which is a hunting rifle, one-shot somebody. So there's a lot of balance problems with it. Plus the content is really unstable. I don't know if I should blame Flans for that or blame the content developers that make the add-ons for Flan, but I'm not going to be using Flan here. Armory is going to be the goal. I have some of the codes set up, so it won't be long to develop this. I should be able to get it done sometime this year. And by year, I mean literally 2 months is what I have. The goal is to hopefully get Volts out sometime in December. So that way you guys on your Christmas break can play it, enjoy it, have fun. That's one part of it. I then have to work on the Watch Your Step mod. This is going to be probably optional content, and if it does get included, there's going to be like 4 or 5 traps. I want to work on a lot of traps, but the biggest problem with traps is not the code, it's making the models and stuff that go with it. It's cool just to have a trap that when you step on it goes boom or something, but then that's been overdone repeatedly. You want actual traps, so your spring-wired, bear trap, stuff like that. Things that actually look cool and add to the game's functionality rather than just be another bomb you step on or another arrow trap or something like that. So that's what this model will be. This also has the transparent pressure plates in them from the old ICBM version, so that's one of the reasons I'm trying to get that up there too. Basic Industries is hopefully what I'm going to be putting inside Volts. As I said, I considered a few things. I also even considered Immersive Engineering. I really like that mod. It is really, really well done. The newer versions that have been coming out here recently are impressive. They are right along a tech mod that I have always kind of wanted to make. Things that use that old style of wiring and machinery that you don't even see in real life anymore. Really rustic, really industrial stuff. When I was working on Resin Induction, that was the type of stuff I was dreaming of building, although I wasn't planning on doing big multi-blocks like the developer for that was doing. My plan was to do in-world machinery, which meant you put the gear in there and then you connected the gears, you connected the motors, and then that technically built a multi-block structure, but it was free-formed, so there was no actual requirements for the design. Immersive Engineering doesn't have that, but then again, that's not going to be on Basic Industries either, because that's not what I want for Volts. Basic Industries, the core, the base version, is going to have a few different things in it. It's going to have your classic IC2 style machines, so your smeltery, your grinder, your stuff like that. So it will be really easy to play with, but then it's going to have a dynamic machine for maximum customization. So it's going to have a low machine count compared to most mods, but because of how the dynamic machine is going to be set up, you can literally turn that machine into anything. You can turn it into a grinding machine, you can turn it into a drill press, you can do whatever. You just have to apply a few different modulars to it. So that should, in theory, cover what is needed for the mod pack and make it really easy to set up and deploy, and then you can have really small bases because of it too. So what you could do is set up 2 machines and just keep swapping tool heads out of them until you get what you want to craft, which will come back into the armory. Because armory is going to actually be a little complex to craft your guns. You're not going to just be able to throw 5 iron ingots and a piece of leather in there, like the old classic Flam version. You're going to have to craft the gun frame, and then you're going to have to put all your parts in your gun frame. So this will actually be a complex mod, considering the fact that I just said I wanted a simplistic mod for the technology side. The weapons will be complex for balance reasons. So that the better the weapon, the more complex it is to craft. The simpler the weapon, so like a blunderbuss or your flintlock rifles, those would be like 5-part things to build. So you could build those, go shoot people, you're done. Crossbows will be the same way, bows will be the same way. Real easy to make, and they'll have good output, but if you want incredible outputs, you need to then build the more complex stuff, which will be your like submachine guns, your pistols, your revolvers, compound bows, composite bows. That'll all be part of that. But moving down, talking less about Volts. ICBM Phase 1, which is we're currently in, is we're in the first phase of ICBM. I've probably labeled, I don't know how many phases. Technically, phase 1 is made of several subphases, but I've renamed it all into phase 1 just for simplicity. The idea of phase 1 is to get everything restored to the point where I can call ICBM released, and then I can start working on newer content for it. There's a lot of stuff that's still missing out of ICBM. The Warhead Crafting Station, which is what I'll be working on in the live stream here later today, is one of the bigger pieces. That's going to be the maximum customization for a lot of stuff. It'll probably end up getting renamed to just a workstation here later because I'll probably use it for engine crafting as well. But I haven't figured out exactly how I want to approach that. None of this stuff is really planned out well. I just simply know what I need, and then I kind of wing it from there. But a lot of people point out missing red matter bomb. We're missing the nuke. Of course, I'm renaming it the thermal nuclear bomb because apparently there's several different types of nuclear bombs, and I've been doing a lot of research into this, which is a big reason I haven't added the nuke back. It's really simple just to add a big bomb to the game and then call it a nuke and then have it spread radiation, but then in reality you just made a dirty bomb, not an actual nuke. Dirty bombs will actually be implemented into the game, by the way. They'll probably be implemented before the thermal nuclear bomb will be implemented. The reason for this is I want to make this actually a realistic bomb, have actual realistic destructive properties. This includes creating EMPs, creating a shockwave. If you see in the videos, you'll see a shockwave go out and come back in. Movement code to handle blocks being thrown around. So it'll throw trees around, it'll throw dirt around, so you'll have this actual creating effect. This will actually probably be implemented in a lot of the explosions though. Thermal systems, so like melting blocks needs to be worked on, and then the actual radiation systems, not just throwing radioactive blocks around. The actual air and everything will become irradiated, so if you're within the affected area, there's no easy escape from the radiation unless you're inside of a building. This will also take into account buildings, blast doors, so you'll actually be able to protect yourself properly from this, unlike other mods which just throw radiation out, and if you're close nearby. Main mods that do this is IC2, the old Atomic Science, and of course Rotary Craft's add-on Reactor Craft, I believe it's called. Doesn't take into account proper shielding. Chemical bomb will be added back. Biological bomb, which is actually, I believe, was named the contagion bomb. This is one people keep asking for because it was really destructive. Auto crafting is a big thing I want to work on. This will be started in phase 1, but on phase 2 it'll be really heavily worked on. Because one of the really big things I want to work on for ICBM is being able to do full automated factories of assembling those really large missiles, so you can do some amazing, impressive things. This is one of the big reasons why the crafting chains are getting really complicated for ICBM. Is I want to make it hard to set up and build missiles in your garage, but then if you build a factory, then you can just go all out without a problem. Then Warhead Crafting Station, which we're working on today. Armory, I haven't finished this document, by the way, but what is required to get Armory up and running is there's a lot of scripting that has to be handled on the back end. I have to be able to interpret script files and load up data. I can actually show one of these script files because I was working on some of the content here a while ago. This will actually be integrated into the content loading system as part of Volts Engine, so theoretically use a lot of this. But this is a script designed to load basic ores into the game. These are the ores that a Volts Engine uses, and this will replace Volts Engine's current ore class with this data. And this is real easy to work on. You guys on the stream probably don't understand it, or I mean, recording, yeah. As I said, unscripted videos, completely random. But you guys probably don't understand this from first sight, but with minimum effort, somebody can come in here and change this data without a problem. So we look at the first thing. This whole array here is our subtypes. This covers all the things. Subtype 0 is our first value. Its localization is 10. Its world generation value, which is here, tells it that, hey, we only generate in stone. We generate between Y level 15 and 60. Branch size of 5, so you'll only ever find 5 in a branch, although the 2 branches can touch each other, so that can technically make more. And maximum, you'll only find 15 in a chunk. It also does a smelting recipe, which turns into an ingot of 10. So this is all handled. I don't have to write any code for this. I do have to write the code, of course, to load the script, but once that code's written, I can sit here and make hundreds and thousands of ore blocks with just these JSON files. I don't have to compile the code. I don't have to really do anything with it. It's done. And Armory is going to be entirely like this. You'll come in and say, I want to add a Winchester. You'll describe the weapon. You'll describe what it's made out of. You'll describe what ammunition types it uses and everything. And you're good. Then it loads up. And then somebody can then come in later and go, hey, I want to add an ammo type to it. Although you would only describe its ammo type in the document. Then another document would describe its ammo. Like you would have your normal slug, you would have your HE slugs, and you would have your armor piercing slugs. And each document would describe a different slug type for the Winchester. And people could just keep adding that and adding more ammo types. And that's really, really cool from a coder's perspective because that's a lot less work that's required. Every time I want to add something, ICBM is a perfect example of this. Every time I want to add an engine, I have to go into the code and then I have to create a brand new class and then describe all the data in the class file, then recompile it, and then redistribute a new version of ICBM. With Armory, people can literally just start distributing JSON files of the guns they like and then put them directly into a mod pack. And then I never have to recompile Armory ever again unless there's a bug or I want to add more features, which means the possibilities become massive. People can create humongous packages of just guns for the game. And I don't have to have anything to do with that. You will probably end up, when Armory comes out, start to see submods listed onto CurseForge of just gun packs. And they'll load up just like jar files, of course, too. Because I'm going to set this system up. Because the biggest problem with Flan is that you have to put everything in a subfolder that's not inside the mod folder, which then screws up a lot of mod distribution systems because they don't understand how to look at that folder. Of course, several of the good systems do know how to do it, like the Curses system. You just have to tell it, like, hey, include this folder and you're done. But it misses out on a lot of the really easy ways of dealing with things, like just loading a jar file. Or just loading config files, of course. So you can throw in the config file, and I'll set up multiple ways to do that. But that's that so far. Basic Industries is going to have a huge list of things, but I'll publicly release this document here down the road here in a couple weeks when it's actually finished, and that's pretty much it for the news, because this video is hitting like multiple minutes past the 15 I normally shoot for, so I guess everybody have a nice day, and catch me in the stream here later if I end up uploading this before the stream starts.